Thank you, Dr. Springer, our university organist, for the musical prelude. And thank you, Dr. Wilfred Jeremiah, for our chief faculty marshal, for leading us in this procession. Mr. President, members of the Board of Regents, distinguished guests, my colleagues on the dais, members of our faculty, administration, staff, and students of Morgan State University, especially our freshman class. Good morning and welcome to the 2019 Matriculation Convocation at Morgan State University. We are very pleased to have you with us this morning as we mark the official beginning of the 2019-2020 academic year. This is going to be a very exciting year at Morgan as we take yet another step in our remarkable journey towards growing the future and leading the world. Please be seated. Today's convocation is a very special event and sacred tradition. Therefore, let me remind you of a few points of consideration for our students. First, on Thursdays from 11 to 1, we observe University Hour at Morgan. There are no classes scheduled during this 2-hour time period. This gives us the opportunity to set aside time for this and other important convocations, which freshmen and sophomores are required to attend. So since there are no courses during this time period, please relax and remain for the duration of this convocation so that you ensure that you fully benefit from this experience. So please do not leave today's auditorium until the convocation has ended and the recession has concluded. Secondly, according to proper protocol, we ask that during this convocation, you stand as you did for the procession, and which occurred at the beginning of our ceremony. And we also ask that you stand for the recession at the end of our ceremony. We also ask that you stand for the invocation and the benediction, and for the singing of the Alma Mater, which will occur at the end of our program. During these portions of the program, we ask that gentlemen in the audience to remove their hats and any other headgear. Also, in respect of this sacred tradition, we ask that you turn off your cell phones and other electronic devices, or put them on vibrate, and do not use them during this ceremony, including text as well during our convocation. We thank you in advance for your full cooperation and following the rules of proper academic protocol. At this time, I'd like to recognize and thank several members of our Board of Regents who've joined us for this special occasion. First, the Chair of the Board of Regents, the Honorable Kwaisi Mfume. Regent Tracy Parker Warren. Regent Winston A. Wilkinson. And Student Regent Jafon Stubbs. We shall begin our program this morning with an invocation led by Reverend Dr. Bernard Keels, Dean of the Morgan State University Memorial Chapel, followed by greetings from the Honorable Kwaisi Mfume, Chair of the Morgan State University Board of Regents. Thank you.
Shall we pray? Come, O sacred catcher of dreams, perfecter of our life, welcome us again at the beginning of a new academic year. For you have nurtured and called this class for 2023 to begin their journey to grow the future so that they may lead the world. We assemble, O God, in this place with new beginnings and continuing journeys. Enlighten our minds and hearts. Open our lips so we may praise thee. Grant to us, O God, that with peace of mind we may face all this year is to bring. Grace to surrender the work of the great university to do thy holy will. Teach us to behave sincerely and reasonable towards every member of the Morgan family and all other human beings, who will not cause confusion and sorrow to anyone. Bless us to be a blessing. Keep us mindful of the world that is taught with all kinds of tension. Make our past, our present, and our future worthwhile. And finally, O Creator, grant we may be a lively center for sound and productive learning, for new discovery, for the pursuit of wisdom, that we may, all of us, be one, and finally find that source of all truth. For it's in the name of the one who creates, is creating, and will perfect us, our sustainer, our redeemer. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend Keels. My My thanks this morning to Dr. David Wilson for his friendship, his leadership, and as you've often heard me say, most of all, his stewardship of Morgan State University. Thank you also, Dr. Wilson, for convening us as a university family today in this annual Matriculation Convocation. It is my pleasure to bring you greetings on behalf of the Board of Regents and to say again, good morning. Madam Provost, administrators, freshmen, alumni, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you as well. And a special good morning and a special salute to our distinguished faculty that sit before us today. Theirs is perhaps the most difficult task that underlies and is underscored by a matriculation convocation. For they must take the young lives that have entered this institution, these new students, and shape, teach, and challenge them with new concepts, new skills, and with intellect. Knowing, faculty, that if you fail, then we all fail. And students, it is your responsibility to seek out and pay attention to these and other faculty members whom you will encounter. For in the seats in this auditorium are men and women with insight into cultures and lifestyles that you have never experienced. Take advantage of their understandings. There is a reason they are called professors and teachers. Their purpose is to equip you not just with an education, but with something much broader, with the spirit of intellectual inquiry, with a deep curiosity, and with the resilience and the resources to go out into this world and to make a difference. You will soon learn, students, that studying at a university is different from studying for entrance examinations. Passive learning, that is, searching for correct answers to questions you will be provided, will not be enough. You must strive also for active learning and an active learning experience, coming up with your own questions, your own hypothesis, your own theorems, and creating new levels of knowledge to be able to answer them. You must look deeper into the principles behind things. You need the discipline to keep thinking in the face of setbacks until you find an answer. It is only then that you will be able to generate new ideas. I hope that you acquire that strength during your time here at Morgan. And remember this, 152 years ago, just 4 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, this institution was founded and would go on to become the threshold for the launching of a new era in all areas of life for Black men and Black women, a race of people just up from slavery who would take little and do much with it. From today forward, like them, you become part of the life and the history of Morgan State University. If we do our jobs right, that won't be something that lasts for the next 4 years, but will be with you for the rest of your lives. After 30 years of service on our Board of Regents, I can personally attest to you that the vision of our founders to pursue academic excellence remains steadfast and unbroken. We continue to proclaim at Morgan victory over adversity, and we celebrate the desire for excellence over mediocrity. Love these next 4 years. They will be your fastest. Listen, learn, grow, and succeed. Good morning.
At this time, we will have a musical selection by the internationally acclaimed Morgan State University Choir under the direction of Dr. Eric Conway.
Good morning. In 1773, Phyllis Wheatley, the first African-American woman to publish a book of poetry, published a poem titled Hymn to the Morning. Wheatley's poem draws upon elements of Greek mythology to celebrate the gift of a new day and the inspiration that comes with that. The choir will present a relatively new musical work inspired by this poem, composed by Nolan Williams Jr., entitled Dreams Awaken, Aurora Hail. This is the first of a 5-movement song cycle by Williams. The choir will perform this entire work with full orchestra next month in a concert co-presented by the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture and New Works Production. We're excited to have Danielle Muse, Darren Scott as our soloist, Ada Saunders as our oboist, and Samuel Springer as our organist. As we embark upon another academic year, take to heart this message. Arise, O dreams, like morning's dawn. Aurora sings your promise bright and calls the muses to inspire our souls with gales of vaulted flight. Aurora, hail, arise, O dreams. I'll tell you, I love this composition. In fact, parts of it sound like Mission Impossible.
Aurora, hail, and all the 1,000 dyes which deck thy progress through the vaulted skies. The morn awakes and wide extends her rays. On every leaf the gentle zephyr plays. Arise, O dreams, like morning's dawn. Aurora sings your promise bright and calls the muses to inspire our souls with gales of vaulted flight. Our souls with gales of vaulted flight.
Attend our lazy ever-honored nine. Assist our labors, our restraints refine. In smoothest numbers pour the notes along. For bright Aurora now demands our song. Arise, O trees, our morning's dawn. Aurora sings your promise bright and calls the muses to inspire our souls with gales of vaulted flight. Our souls with gales of vaulted flight.
Harmonious lays the feathered race resume.
Dart the bright eye and shake the painted bloom.
shady groves your verdant gloom display, to shield your poet from the burning day.
Calliope, awake!
Calliope, awake! Calliope, awake! Muses awake! Muses awake! Arise, O dreams like morning dawn. Aurora sings your promise rise, and all the muses to respond. Our souls with gales of vaulted flight. Our souls with gales of vaulted flight. Come now, muses dawn bright, muses auroras promise, give rise to dreams. Come now, muses dawn bright, muses auroras promise, give rise to dreams, give rise to dreams. Aurora, hell, give rise to dreams, give rise.
Thank you, Dr. Conway and members of the Morgan State University Choir. For those of us who have watched and witnessed American higher education for the past 20 years and seen the enormous growth at Morgan State University over the past few years, our convocation speaker for this morning needs no formal introduction. He is a great educator who has a long and remarkable record of accomplishments and well over 30 years of experience in higher education, administration, and leadership. He earned a BS degree in political science and an MS degree in education from Tuskegee University, as well as a Master of Education degree in educational planning and administration from Harvard University. He also holds a doctorate degree in educational administration, planning, and social policy from Harvard University. He has held a number of important positions in higher education, including Vice President for University Outreach and Associate Provost at Auburn University. He also served as Associate Provost at Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, and Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin Colleges and University of Wisconsin Extension, which was his immediate position prior to joining Morgan State University. He has authored 2 books and more than 20 articles in scholarly journals and has received many honors for his scholarship and administrative leadership, including being named one of our nation's top 100 leaders in higher education by the American Association of Higher Education. Since joining Morgan on July 1st of 2010, our speaker has established an extraordinary record of success, including record enrollment increases, receipt of the university's largest research contract, the launch of major initiatives to improve customer service, and continuous improvement of the technology infrastructure on campus. He also is credited for the introduction of Morgan's first online degree programs as well as significant expansion of our study abroad opportunities for Morgan students, and an exponential increase in the number of international students that are studying at Morgan State University. And he has led many new construction initiatives on campus valued at over $800 million. What is most remarkable about our convocation speaker is not just his outstanding record of achievement, but also the character that he has brought to the presidency of the institution. A character shaped by the intangibles of his background. He grew up with 10 siblings on a sharecropper farm outside of the small town of McKinley, Alabama. And through hard work, tenacity, and the encouragement of his father and his teachers, he became the first person in his family to attend and graduate from college. Ever reminded of his humble beginnings and the aid given to him along the way, he is a president who has an unwavering devotion to student success and student welfare. He is strongly committed to openness, transparency, and fairness that lets all of our students know from the beginning that at Morgan State University, their lives truly matter. He comes to you this morning as one who considers his work at Morgan not a job, but as a true calling. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Morgan's 10th inaugurated president, Dr. David Wilson, to deliver the 2019 Matriculation Convocation Address. President Wilson.
Thank you, Provost Crumpton Young, and good morning to our beloved Morgan State University family. First, before I delve into my remarks this morning, I'm going to ask us to pause briefly to reflect on the devastation that has been caused by Hurricane Dorian as it has made its way through the Bahamas and continues to make its way up the East Coast. We have several students, faculty, and staff here at Morgan who are from the Grand Bahama, including our student regent, Regent Stubbs, whose family was saved in terms of the destruction of property, but other students I have heard families were not. We will be organizing a relief effort next week under the leadership of the Student Government Association and our Vice President for Student Affairs, and you'll hear more about that. But please, 10 seconds of silence. Thank you. To Regent Chair Mfume, to Regents Parker Warren and Wilkerson, and to our student Regent Stubbs, to the distinguished colleagues on the faculty, to our colleagues in the administration and our staff colleagues, to our dedicated and inspiring student leaders, to the ladies and gentlemen of the student body and the friends of Morgan State University, and most of all, to the freshman class of 2019, I welcome all of you to our fall convocation here at Morgan State University, the national treasure that was designated by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, becoming the only complete college campus in America to be so designated. I think that deserves a round of applause. I am very pleased and excited to speak with you this morning, which marks the official beginning of the 2019-2020 academic year. You know, greeting you at the beginning of the academic year is one of my greatest pleasures as president, because the fall always represents a time of renewal and a time of new beginnings at our institution. It is also a time of new opportunities in order to advance the university, and a time to embrace more and more students and faculty as a part of the university's great tradition. And so at this convocation, we are pleased to welcome the new members of our faculty and the new class of freshmen, transfer, and graduate students who are joining our university for the very first time. I also welcome those of us who are returning to Morgan to continue our commitment, as you heard before, to grow the future and indeed lead the world. I'm especially pleased to report that this year we have admitted one of the largest incoming class of new freshmen in the history of this institution. Thus far, they number over 1,400 students, compared with 1,368 new freshmen last year, which is a 2% increase over last year, and last year's class was a 13% increase over the previous year. And so our freshman class is growing larger and larger with each academic year. And please, let's give a resounding Morgan welcome to all of our new students. I assure you that this is going to be a year of immense opportunity and promise for this university and for you. This is an institution now in its 152nd year, with an impressive record of achievement and many, many outstanding marks of distinction to our credit. Since we embarked on our journey, as you heard from Chairman Mfume in 1867, we have grown into an institution today with nearly 8,000 students from across the nation and around the globe, I should say. We have grown into an institution with nearly 400 full-time faculty members with outstanding academic credentials and remarkable achievements. We have grown into an institution with a comprehensive curriculum offering 48 bachelor's degree programs, 10 post-baccalaureate certificate programs, 34 master's degree programs, 16 doctoral programs, 11 off-campus and online programs at those levels. Indeed, since 1867, we have grown into an institution today with a campus of 143 acres with over 50 structures, including recent additions of the $72 million Morgan Business Center, the $79.4 million Jenkins Behavioral and Social Sciences Center, and the $90 million Calvin and Tina Tyler Student Services Center, which is currently under construction at Hillen and Cold Spring. We have been designated, as you heard, by the National Trust as a national treasure, and in 2016, the state of Maryland designated Morgan as its preeminent public urban research university. Ladies and gentlemen, new freshmen, returning colleagues, we have come a long way in 152 years. And so what you will see constantly at this institution is an institution that really is about growing the future and leading the world. We are an institution that is determined not to stand still. Standing still is a terrible thing. I am reminded, as some of you perhaps have heard me in the past articulate, of the first time that I took my son on a safari in Africa. This is a story about standing still. He was 10 And I said, it's time for you, son, to begin to see the world. And I had gone on numerous safaris, and I wanted him to experience that. So I took him to the Eastern Cape province of South Africa, to the Shamwari Reserve. And we got up one morning about 3:30 to get on the Jeep to go to see the Big Five. And the ranger looked at me and he said, Dr. Wilson, he said, do you mind if I have a brief conversation with your son? I need to tell him something. And I said, Julius, I do not mind. And he turned around and he said, Nieri, he said, let me tell you something. He said, young man, he said, you are about to go out into the jungle. And what I want you to know is that every morning when the sun awakens, a lion awakens. And that lion realizes that he or she must outrun the slowest wildebeest or they are going to go hungry. And he said, young man, every morning out here, a wildebeest awakens. And that wildebeest realizes that he or she must outrun the fastest lion or they are going to be dinner. And so what you need to understand is that when the sun comes up every single day, 365 days a year, everything out here is running because they do not want to stand still and be hungry or stand still and be gobbled up. And so, every single morning here at Morgan, we must run because we will not stand still. We will not be anyone's dinner, and we are not going to go hungry. Standing still is a terrible thing. And so it's very important that I get you, our newest students, off to a great start this morning by letting you know that we have high expectations of you. I want to let you know what is required of you as our newest Morganites. And so my message this morning perhaps is one of the simplest ones that I have delivered in my 9+ years as your president at this Matriculation Convocation. It is entitled, You Are Being Prepared to Soar Like an Eagle and Not Cluck Like Chickens. That's my message. And so this morning, I want to introduce you to an African parable to illustrate what I'm talking about. This is an African parable of an eagle. And this parable was written by the late James Aggrey, a 20th century Ghanaian educator who was educated in part, by the way, at one of our historically black colleges and universities, Livingstone College in North Carolina. And it is a parable with which I was reacquainted a few weeks ago when I went to Accra, Ghana to receive the first Transcendent Order of the African Eagle Award at the inaugural HBCU Africa Homecoming Ceremony, and also to be given, by the way, my new name, David Kwabena Wilson, by the chief of the Ashanti of Ghana. And so here's how that parable of the eagle goes. Once upon a time, there was a man who went through a forest seeking any bird of interest he may find. And so he caught a young eagle, and he brought this eagle home, and he put the eagle amongst his fowls and his ducks and his turkeys, and he gave the young eagle chicken food to eat, even though it was an eagle, the king of the birds. And so 5 years later, a naturalist came to this farm, and after passing through the garden, the naturalist said to the owner of the farm, he said, that bird is an eagle, not a chicken. And the owner of the farm said, yeah, I know that, but I have trained it to be a chicken. It is no longer an eagle, it is a chicken, even though it measures 15 feet from tip to tip of its wings. No, said the naturalist, it still is an eagle. It has the heart of an eagle, and I will make it soar high up to the heavens. No, said the owner, it is a chicken and it will never fly. And so they agreed to test it. And so the naturalist then picked up the eagle, he held it high, and he said with great intensity, "Eagle, thou art an eagle. Thou belongs to the sky and not to the earth. And so stretch forth those mighty wings and soar." And so the eagle turned this way and turned that way, and then looking down, he saw the chickens eating their food, and down he jumped. So the owner said, I told you it was a chicken. No, said the naturalist again, it is an eagle, and so let me give it another chance tomorrow. So the next day, sure enough, the naturalist took the eagle to the top of the house this time and said, "Now, eagle, let me repeat this. Thou art an eagle, and you need to stretch forth those wings and fly." But again, the eagle, seeing the chickens feeding, jumped down and fed with the chickens. Then the owner said again, "Now look, I told you, Mr. Naturalist, that was a chicken. And so now, unbelievably exasperated, the naturalist said, no, I'm not giving up. It is an eagle, and it still has the heart of an eagle, and let me just have one last chance, and I promise I will make it fly tomorrow." And so now on the third day, the naturalist woke up really, really early in the morning, took the eagle outside the city, away from the houses, to the roof of the highest mountain. And the sun was just rising, gilding the top of the mountain with every gold, and every crag was glistening in the joy of the beautiful morning. And so the naturalist then picked up the eagle and said, "Now, eagle, thou art an eagle, and you belong to those skies up there and not to this earth down here. And so I need you to now stretch forth those magnificent wings and fly." And the eagle looked around, and then he began to tremble as if new life were coming into it. But it still did not fly. And the naturalist then made the eagle look straight at the rising sun. And when he did that, the eagle suddenly stretched out its wings, and with the screech of an eagle, it mounted higher and higher and higher, never to return to the farm again. It realized that it was an eagle after all, though it had been kept and tamed as a chicken. And so my colleagues, my Ghanaian educator who wrote that parable said the following. He said, we were created in the image of a higher calling and a higher purpose. But somewhere along the way sometime, men have made us think that we are chickens. And some of us still think we are, but we're eagles. And so therefore, he was speaking to the diaspora Set forth your wings and fly, and don't be content with the food of chickens. Now, that parable of the African eagle is a very important cautionary tale about the danger of accepting and trying to actually live up to the limits and the boundaries imposed upon you by others, and of not realizing your own potential as defined and determined by you and by your destiny. Some of you may have experienced discouraging messages along the way from a plethora of individuals, maybe from your high school teachers or your counselors or your community leaders or your peers, or even perhaps from some members of your own family. Messages that led you to believe that you should just simply, as you go away to college, accept the status quo. But freshman class of 2019, based largely on that parable, my message to you this morning is this: even though some may have led you to believe over the years that you were chickens, let me say unequivocally, you are eagles of the highest order. And if you remain here for the next 4 or 5 years, Morgan will help you come to understand that you did not come to Morgan not to be transformed. We will not allow you, like chickens, to be content to feed from the ground and to believe that you cannot rise above it and soar. We will not allow you to sit and roost on your nest or wander aimlessly about with no sense of direction, with no higher aspiration, and with no clear purpose for being here. We will not allow you to become proof of the old adage that the chicken's only purpose for crossing the road was to do what? Get to the other side. Instead, we are committed here at Morgan to transforming you into a mighty and magnificent eagle, the king or queen of the birds, who will soar higher than all other birds to heights that even you yourself cannot even imagine today. In fact, because we are so dedicated to your becoming the high-flying eagles of the world, your education here at Morgan will in many ways resemble closely the manner in which eagles train by their parents. And parents of eagles, they train those eagles very carefully. And that's what we are emulating here at Morgan. And so in anticipation of the arrival of their young, here's what the parents do. The parents prepare this large, elaborate, carefully constructed nests to receive them and then to raise them. They build the nest with intricately woven and sturdy limbs and branches, some actually with thorns that intertwine with one another, and they form a bond that sometimes even the wind and the nastiest elements cannot dismantle. And then they fill up the crevices of these nests and the inside of those branches with a softer cushion of leaves and moss, sometimes even feathers, in order to make the nest a comfortable place for the young eaglets. And so once the eggs have hatched, both parents become the careful, devoted caretakers of the young, faithfully bringing them food to nourish them and nurturing them by their own example on how to be strong and how to survive. The parents teach them that they are eagles, that they are the highest in the sky, that they're not chickens, they're not some lesser birds. And so as the eagles become bigger and stronger and the nest becomes a little crowded, the parents then realize that, it's time for us to push them out of this nest. And so I commend to you a book by David McNally called Even Eagles Need a Push. And it walks us through this ritual. So even though the parents have prepared them very well, this day comes where they have to push them out of the nest. And they take them to the edge of the nest. And they hesitate. They don't push initially. And they retreat. And then they bring them back again. And there's still a little hesitancy. But then the eagles have this reflection. And they say, you know, we have to go through with this ritual. Because if we do not push them out of this nest, they will never, ever realize the thrill it is to have been born an eagle. And so one by one, they push them out of the nest, and one by one, they soar to the heavens. And their job as parents is then complete. My fellow students, this is the educational paradigm that Morgan State University will employ in ensuring your success and your achievement. During your years at Morgan, we will nurture you. We will comfort you. We will ease your transition into college life. We will make your nest here as comfortable as possible and as nurturing as possible. We will be your shoulder to lean on when you need us, especially during your critical freshman year, but increasingly in the sophomore year and the junior year, and especially the senior year. We will require that you become independent learners and not make us a crutch for you to depend on. We will insist that you learn to stand on your own 2 feet, to test your wings each and every day, and to learn to fly solo. Because there are many things that you will learn in your studies here at Morgan, both inside and outside the classroom. Things that will put you on the cutting edge of your profession, and things that will prepare you for advanced studies when you are graduated from this institution. But above and beyond your academic learning, Morgan will teach you good character and good habits of mind, heart, and conduct that will make your learning experience a productive and rewarding one. Morgan will nurture you on a set of core and cardinal principles and values for success in college and in the workplace and in life. And these are the principles that we think most important in learning and living, and we will insist that you adopt, embrace, and demonstrate them here on this campus and after you leave us. So let me briefly talk about these 6 principles and bring my remarks to a close. You heard them before. They are plastered everywhere around the university. They are our core values, 6 of them: excellence, integrity, respect, diversity, innovation, and leadership. These are the values that will enable and empower you to take flight like mighty eagles. The first of these values is excellence, and we don't compromise that. We need you to understand from the beginning that this university holds its students to a very high standard of excellence. And if you're going to be a success here at Morgan, and we know all of you will, you must develop a deep and abiding devotion to excellence in learning. This is the greatest value held by the university, and it must become your greatest value as well. In fact, I hope with all of my might that you have come to Morgan for the right reason, not just to grab a piece of paper 4 or 5 years from now. Of course, we want you to get that, Dr. Turner. But we want you to get an education. It's not just about the credential. It's about making sure that when you leave this place, that you understand that your function in using your head is to do more than to keep your ears apart. And so attending Morgan should not be just about credentialing. It should be about getting educated and about taking advantage of the magic of education to transform you and to transport you to a better place. I'm not going to go into my personal story, but you heard from Provost Young. I'm the first in my family to go to college. I didn't go to school full-time until I was in the 7th grade. I learned how to read by reading the pages of Look and Life magazines on our little shanty in rural Alabama. But it was the magic of education, the magic of a college education that enabled me to change the trajectory of your life. And that's what Morgan State University is offering you. We expect you to use your precious undergraduate years here at Morgan to learn everything that you can, to experience the joy of learning and the immense pleasure derived from knowing and from discovering. We want you to embrace every opportunity to absorb all of the knowledge that you can and all of the skills that our programs and our faculty can offer you. Trust me, if you have come here with this goal in mind, you will discover the power that excellence in learning has to transform your lives and to improve your circumstances, much as it did your own president. The second core value that Morgan stands for and will teach you is integrity. You know, integrity is honesty, it's forthrightness, it's strong moral principles, it's good ethical behavior, it's accountability for your words and your deeds. That is really what will make you sound, complete, and whole. Integrity is the seedbed of achievement and excellence, and it is a principle that never fails. Those who attempt to deceive, those who are untruthful in their words, those who follow a path that is morally wrong, those who conduct themselves in a manner that is an embarrassment to themselves and to others, and those who try to escape or avoid the consequences of their actions clearly lack integrity. You know, at the heart of integrity is honesty. Honesty with yourself and honesty with others. And the most important kind of honesty in the academic environment is academic honesty. You must at all cost avoid any and all kinds of academic dishonesty, the most common form of which is plagiarism, an act in which a student or anyone else claims the work of another without giving that entity appropriate authorization, attribution, or citation. And this includes, in the current environment, written, oral, videotape, audio tape, photograph, website. This is, in fact, a form of stealing. And it is treated by the university, I have to say this, with utmost seriousness and severe penalty, ranging from failure on assignments to failure of a course to perhaps academic suspension for a period of time, and could possibly result in a total dismissal from the university. If you have integrity and you're committed to honesty and truth, you will not commit this academic crime against intellectual property rights. Now, the third value that this institution will instill in you in order to prepare you to soar is respect. This means respect for this institution and all who have come before us over 152 years. It means respect for the people in the Morgan community. That includes more than just the people on the campus. It includes respect for yourself, because that is really at the heart of respect. And respect for others, regardless how different they are from you and different they are from the beliefs that you hold. Respect for others is of the utmost importance, because even more important is respect as I said earlier, for who you are. In fact, respect for others springs from your respect for yourself. Respecting yourself means that you should bring what we call your A game to Morgan every day. That means that at Morgan, as you heard me say, young men should not be walking around the campus with the waist of their pants around their knees. That cannot be your A game. That is not respecting you. And young ladies at Morgan, do not go to class in beach wear or party attire. That cannot be your A game. And at Morgan, we do not use certain words on the campus, as you heard us say. We don't use words that start with N in a pejorative way. We don't use words to describe each other that starts with B in a pejorative way. That is nobody's A game. These are habits that we do not expect from you, and we will not tolerate them from you on this campus. And so if you really value yourself and you really want your life to matter, you must abandon those behaviors if you embrace them, because they are behaviors designed to ensure that you remain chickens. We expect you to always embody what it means to be a Morgan man and a Morgan woman. So let me remind you that how you are treated by others is determined in part by how you treat yourself. There's great truth to the old adage that says, if you really put a small value on yourself, rest assured that the world will not raise your price. So if you go out there and you say, I'm worth 1 cent, the world is going to treat you like a Lincoln penny. The fourth core value that we will teach you is appreciation for diversity. Morgan welcomes a broad diversity of people and ideas because they are essential to a quality education in a global, interdependent society. We want you to embrace and learn from the new international, multicultural experience that we offer at Morgan, and we want you to rid yourselves, if you embrace them, of petty social and cultural intolerances and any biases that you may have, conscious or implicit. We expect you to realize that you are a citizen of this multi-ethnic, multicultural, global community with people of many differences in habits and differences in belief who have the same rights as you to practice those habits and to exhibit those beliefs. Now, although the Morgan community is majority African American, it consists of a growing number of non-African American students, faculty, and staff. On the student side, more than 20% of our student population is non-African American. And that includes more than 700 international students, as well as individuals from virtually every region of the United States of America. The same cultural diversity is present in our faculty as well. And so this diversity gives our students an opportunity to be enriched by exposure to other cultures and not be educated about the variety of cultures, and to be educated by the variety of cultures in a globally competitive community without even having to leave the campus. And so this is an opportunity, students, that you should embrace and you should welcome as your 21st century education. It will empower you to navigate the world on the wings of an eagle. And now the fifth core value is innovation. Now please understand that the 21st century belongs to the innovators. It will belong to those who are brave enough to engage in discovery, in creation, in invention, that exceeds what others have done before you. Human progress is and has always been based on the actions of people who want to make a difference and to be the agents of change and progress. Innovators believe that things as they are never, ever, ever good enough, that we must all strive constantly to become and do new and better things. Human progress has also been based not only on people who were not afraid to make a difference, but on people who were not afraid to be different. As Albert Einstein has often reminded us, quote, he said, the person that always follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. But the person who sometimes will walk alone is likely to find him or herself in places no one has ever seen or been before. And so I challenge you this morning to be different, to prepare yourself here at Morgan to be innovators and to make a difference. I challenge you to go into places and to reach heights no one has attained before you, and in doing so, to make full use of the magic that education here at Morgan will place in you. Because you know what? The best books, with all due respect to our faculty, have not yet been written. The most spectacular and beneficial scientific discoveries have not yet been made. The greatest feats of engineering and science and architecture have not yet been achieved. And the greatest, noblest acts of humanity and compassion have not yet been displayed. And the farthest planets and stars have not yet been discovered or reached. And so, in short, the greatest achievements of humankind have not yet been realized and do, in fact, lie in you. Your generation is capable of taking us to greater heights than any generation before us through innovation. And so now my last core value as I come to a close. The sixth and final core value that Morgan instills in his students is leadership. Just as we are here to educate eagles, not chickens, we're also here to develop the next generation of leaders, not mere followers. Throughout our 152-year history, from our first bachelor's degree graduate in 1895, who went on to become amongst the first civil rights attorneys, Regent Mfume, in Baltimore, and one of the first to challenge the constitutionality of residential segregation in Baltimore, a Morgan alum, 1895, to the 400 to 500 Morgan State College students who staged what are arguably some of the earliest sit-in and mass arrest of the civil rights movement of the 20th century across the Legacy Bridge, where the new business school and the Jenkins Behavioral and Social Sciences building are. Morgan students have shown leadership. It has been the Morgan way to educate its students and its graduates to be leaders, especially in speaking truth to power. We have three of them right here. Regent Chair Kwesi Mfume, a proud graduate of Morgan, former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, former president of the NAACP. We have Regent the Honorable Tracy Parker Warren, a proud graduate of Morgan, went on to law school, who now sits on the bench. We have Regent Winston A. Wilkerson, proud graduate of Morgan, went on to Howard Law School, and soon we'll have alumni Regent Stubbs, who would say, you know what, I respect my Regent colleagues, but in the vernacular, you ain't done nothing yet. And he's going to rewrite the book on all of that. The whole point is that you look everywhere, all over the world, Morgan has produced leaders, and that is what we expect of you. And not be afraid to confront injustice, and not be afraid to confront an abuse of power wherever it is. Morgan has been careful to nurture a particular kind of leader as well. Those who are committed to being what I call servant leaders. And these are leaders who invest their leadership in promoting the welfare of others and improving the conditions of the world over their own egos and their own self-importance. We have educated them to understand that good and effective leaders, they must be silent before they can listen. They must listen before they can learn. They must learn before they can prepare. They must prepare before they can serve. And most important, they must serve before they can lead. And so, in the final analysis, my student, faculty, and staff colleagues, our overarching goal at Morgan is to produce leaders who are committed to excellence, leaders who demonstrate high levels of integrity, leaders who show respect for themselves and for others, leaders who appreciate the diversity and the global community here at Morgan, and leaders who are committed to innovation and invention that will promote the progress and prosperity of the world. That, in essence, is my message this morning. To the freshman class of 2019, you must commit yourselves to observing and honoring the 6 core values of this great institution: excellence, integrity, respect, diversity, innovation, and leadership, with the heart of an eagle deep in your soul, and the view of the world from the eagle's lofty plateau. We expect you to take full advantage of your experience here at Morgan and be prepared, based on these 6 core values, to become one of our visionary leaders for the 21st century, who, in the words of George Bernard Shaw, said that we don't want you to see things as they are and simply ask, why? Why is that? But we want you to dream things that never were and ask, why not? And why not me? I repeat to you the words of the parable of the African eagle. Eagle, you are an eagle. You belong to the sky and not to this earth. Stretch forth thy wings and fly. Don't be content with the food of chickens. And so my magnificent Morgan Eagles prepare to fly and then to take command of the sky. Good morning. Welcome to Fall 2019 Morgan State University. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson, for that inspiring and informative address. And thank you for your outstanding leadership of this excellent institution. At this time, we will have another selection by the Morgan State University Choir under the direction of Dr. Eric Conway.
Tomorrow morning, the Morgan State University Choir will be in Washington, D.C., singing at the United States Conference on AIDS. Our second selection will be the song that we will sing at the finale of the plenary session, This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, and Maya Johnson will be the soloist.
a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, I'm gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, and I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, and I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Won't fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricade and reaching for the sun. Yeah, that's what we become. But won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood and drown them out. I am brave, I'm bruised, and I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, and I make no apologies. This is me. This is me, yeah. And I know that I am your love. There's nothing I'm not worthy of. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, I'm gonna drown them out. I am brave, and I am bruised, and I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, and I make no apologies. This is me. This is me.
That was absolutely wonderful. Please join me in thanking the choir and Dr. Conway for an outstanding selection. At this time, I'm very pleased, Mr. President, to present to you two members of the faculty who have been selected to receive the highest honors bestowed upon faculty members here at Morgan State University. The Dr. Iva G. Jones Medallion Mantle and the Dr. Sandy Jean McIntyre II International Award. First, the Dr. Iva G. Jones Medallion Mantle is bestowed upon a faculty member who reflects vividly in his or her professional life the qualities distinguishing him or her in teaching, research, scholarship, service, leadership, and character. I am pleased to announce that this year's award is presented to Dr. Christine Homan, professor from the Department of Biology in the School of Computer, Mathematical, and Natural Sciences. Please join us. The Dr. Sandy Jean McIntyre II International Award is bestowed on a Morgan faculty member who demonstrates extraordinary commitment to global learning and international understanding, and who promotes international programs at Morgan. I am pleased to announce that this year's award is presented to Dr. Ming Chow Kai, Associate Professor in the Department of Mathematics in the School of Computer, Mathematical, and Natural Sciences. Please join me in another collective round of applause for our outstanding faculty award recipients. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and Morgan Eagles, for being with us this morning as we officially begin the 2019-20 academic year. At this time, please rise for the singing of the Alma Mater and for the benediction that will follow. For those of you that are new to the university, the words to the Alma Mater can be found in the program booklet on page 3. At the conclusion of our singing of the Alma Mater, please remember to remain standing until the academic recession has left the concert hall. At this time, we will have the singing of our Alma Mater.
give birth to the sunrise of your new beginnings. For the Spirit has called you to be eagles. Your hearts, your spirits have heard the clarion call. Now go and begin a good work, a work that has begun in you from the time you were born in your mother's womb. With all that you are and all that you have, honor your talents, hone your skills, and grow them to the fullest. Remember to live deep within your hearts, and don't find your comfort zone as an easy answer. Half-truths are only superficial relationships. In the classroom or in the quad, in life and in work, harness the gifts of those who teach, and you will learn the essence of growing. You can and you will make a difference in this world, for a world saddled with pain and fear and reaction can be replaced with love and joy and accomplishments. May the spirit of 152 years bind us together in this moment, that we may always be Morganites committed to the future. Amen.